Hi, everybody. I'm here with Ron Placone. How are you?
Hey, Jimmy.
So, we've talked about briefly about how the new censorship is the government tells private corporations who to censor, and they do it, right? So Facebook is doing that at the behest of the government, turning off people's Facebook pages and things like that, especially if you're a Palestinian and you have something to say about Israel, they'll turn. And we've also talked about the influence of the CIA in our media, the Church Report Commission, which was in the 70s, the late 70s, and talked about how the CIA had infiltrated newsrooms and of newspapers and magazines, and it was unbelievable, right? And so here we are again. We showed you before MSNBC's intelligence reporter is CIA. We showed you that before.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, he now works for MSNBC. He was part of that incorrectly reported story. The latest incorrect Trump-Russia collusion reported story that they all got wrong somehow the same way. Somehow they all got it wrong the same way. CBS, NBC, MSNBC. So there he is. So we showed you that. So it's still happening today. And now, guess what? Former CIA Director John Brennan is now the Senior National Security and Intelligence Analyst for NBC News and MSNBC.
What could possibly go wrong?
So now they don't even need to get a reporter anymore. They just go ahead and send the guy. They just send it used to be like before with Trump, with the president. The president would hire a Secretary of State. The Secretary of State would have a meeting with the head of the oil companies. Then they'd go invade a country at their behest. Now, Trump just appointed the head of the oil company as Secretary of State. That's exactly what they're doing. We're like, well, we used to have the CIA would give money to one of our reporters. They'd come on the air. Now we just get the guy from the CIA, and we call it news. Now, remember, the reason why we went to the Iraq War is because our news media lied to us, and they led us into the Iraq War, right? Especially Brian Williams at NBC News. What he did was he would bring on generals, retired generals, and military people, and they were supposed to give us a straight dope on what was happening in Iraq. Turns out all those people that were supposed to be giving us the straight dope were actually being paid by defense contractors to advocate for more war and even specific types of weapons. Brian Williams never told us that. So we got lied to by NBC News about the war. The guy who did tell us that NBC News was doing that won a Pulitzer Prize for it in the New York Times. Brian Williams still never told us that, even after that. So that's what's wrong. And here we go again. And if you want to know who this guy is, first of all, the guy, he likes torture. He defended it. There have been a lot of, this is from him, there have been a lot of information that has come out from these interrogation procedures that the agency has, in fact, used against the real hardcore terrorists. It has saved lives. That's John Brennan, NBC News guy. NBC News guy advocating for the darkest stuff you can as a human being, war crimes, torturing defenseless people. That's what he advocates. It saves lives.
But we have no evidence that he advocates torture for the softcore terrorists.
Not softcore
He might be
terrorists.
a little, it's just the hardcore
Just
ones.
hardcore. The ones,
He's a moderate.
the ones who use double dildos, I guess, when they're doing their terrorism. That's a hardcore terrorist. No, you're right? They do a money shot. Here he is, again, defending torture.
Brennan rejected allegations by the Democrats on the Senate Intelligence Committee that so-called enhanced interrogation techniques used on dozens of detainees produce no actionable intelligence.
Our reviews indicate that the detention and interrogation program produced useful intelligence that helped the United States thwart attack plans, capture terrorists, and save lives.
There he is again. Hey, torture saves lives. That's in public with a suit on, in front of cameras. Torture's good, saves lives. I got no problems with it. He's now the NBC News guy. That's who's going to. They called that guy to tell you the truth about what's happening right now in the world. That guy. That's the guy, the NBC News. That's the guy they're supposed to be finding out exactly how hard he's lying. They're not supposed to pay him money to come out and lie to you, but that's what they're doing. And people say Alex Jones is crazy. NBC News literally has the fucking CIA guy as their guy. What? You're supposed to quote the CIA guy and then tell me why he's lying. You're not supposed to bring him on as a truth teller, which is what they're doing. And I'm not saying that he's not only a truth teller, a liar, but he spied on your government. Not for your government. He spied on your government. John Brennan spied on your government that was investigating CIA's criminality. So they're all committing war crimes. Our own Senate decides to investigate them. They spy on the Senate illegally. You think I'm kidding? And then they deny it. Here's John Brennan denying it.
As far as the allegations of CIA hacking into Senate computers, nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, we wouldn't do that. I mean, that's just beyond the scope of reason in terms of what we do.
That's beyond the scope of reason. That's beyond the scope. You're a crazy person if you think that we would. That's beyond. They would never. I mean, except for that's again in front of cameras, defending torture, lying that it works. Not only defending it, but lying that it works, and then lying that you're spying on our government. That's amazing, right?
Yeah, well, here's the best part. Now he can just substitute the word we for they, and he's got his first news report.
Yep.
Oh, they never do that. More at 11.
Here's Trevor Tibb. He says, hey, remember when NBC News analyst John Brennan blatantly lied to NBC's Andrea Mitchell about using the CIA to spy on Democratic staffers investigating torture? Yeah, I remember. I just showed you the video. And there he is. And there's someone else who remembers. Isn't that nice? I'm glad Trevor Timm remembers. Because apparently nobody at NBC remembers. Isn't that awesome? This is their truth teller. The guy who not only... He's a professional liar. He's a professional liar and criminal, by the way. The Guardian says John Brennan defends drone attacks as he prepares... The guy's for drone attacks? He's for torture? He's for spying on our own government? Glenn Greenwald said he also spouted... This is from an article when he was being nominated for the CIA post the second time. The first time he was too toxic because he had worked in the Bush White House and overseen all the torture. And this time, the next time, it was okay. Barack Obama had completely rehabilitated all the Iraq war criminals, and he became CIA head. And so this is what Glenn wrote back then. He said he also spouted complete, though highly influential falsehoods to the world in the immediate aftermath of the Osama bin Laden killing, including claiming that bin Laden's engaged in a firefight. Didn't happen. He lied about that. And with the Navy SEALs, and he had used his wife as a human shield. That also didn't happen. So if you want what didn't happen, if you want to get your news report wrong and shaded in the CIA lies, John Brennan's your guy. Brennan, last year, caught outright lying when he claimed Obama's drone program caused no civilian deaths in Pakistan over the prior year. So it's been proven he knew. Of course, it killed civilians. And Brennan has also been in charge of many of Obama's most controversial and radical policies, including signature strikes in Yemen, targeting people without even knowing who they are, and generally seizing the power to determine who will be marked for execution without any due process, oversight, or transparency. So that's Brennan was in charge of doing that. So he's a really nice guy. He's a really nice guy. He's a killer, killing people, doesn't even know they are, targeting them, lying about it, lies about killing civilians to the public and to the press, lies about spying on our own government, spied on our own government. That sounds like stuff Russia would do, except it's okay for that guy to do. And now he's going to tell you that Russia's spying on our government, although he's the one who did it. Isn't that wild? Oh, by the way, I guess I might have buried the lead. I don't know if you know this. Yeah. In 1976, when he voted for the president, he voted for the communist. He voted for the Communist Party in 1976. I'm not kidding. And then in 1980 is when he went and took his lie detector test so he can go into the intelligence community. And he was asked about it. Isn't that amazing? And he still passed. They said, "Oh, here's your security clearance. You just voted for a communist. No big deal." Now, all you have to do is look the wrong way to Russian, and I ate pasta puttanesca. Oh my God! All you have to do is say, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't start a World War III." You're a Putin puppet. No, I just said we shouldn't start World War. Putin puppet.
Not a patriot.
Not a patriot. This guy literally voted for a communist in 1976.
He's done a full 180, man.
Wow.
He started as a communist sympathizer, and now he's just an author of war porn fan fiction.
Yep. You know, I would love to see how hard Chris Hayes wagged his finger at him for not voting for one of the two main parties, right? That guy, he not only did he not vote for Jill Stein, this guy voted for a communist party.
That's right.
Ooh, how big of a finger wagging would he get from Chris Hayes today, huh?
You'd have to look him in the eyes for a while.
Yeah. Could you look me in the eyes and tell me you voted for a communist? So that's who he is. Oh, by the way, so he voted for the communists in 1976, but now, but when there was an actual Cold War, now there's another one started by guys like this. Isn't that ironic? He's on both sides of it. So he spies on our government, votes for communists, and now he gets to say someone else is spying on our government and is a communist. Isn't that weird? You'd think he would be disqualified. He's disqualified in my opinion, but that's exactly the kind of scummy dudes they like in the intelligence community, and it's exactly the kind of scummy dudes they like in the establishment press. NBC's paying that guy to tell you the truth about something, which he's not gonna. He's gonna lie to you. And so here, get this. Talk about how Orwellian this is. Here, he's going to let you know that even if you don't know you're committing treason, you probably already are.
But I have studied Russian intelligence activities over the years and have seen it, again, manifest in many different of our counterintelligence cases and how they have been able to get people, including inside of CIA, to become treasonous. And frequently, individuals who go along that treasonous path do not even realize they're along that path until it gets to be a bit too late.
And that's why I'm starting the Ministry of Thought Police.
Right?
Yeah, dude.
Right? That's what that sounds like. That's what that sounds like. You don't even know you're committing treason. Come with me. What?
We have this machine. It'll fix you.
Yes. We figured out you didn't even know it, but you're working against our government. What? You didn't even know it. But apparently this guy gets to spy on our own government and vote for a communist party, but somehow he's not considered a Putin puppet or a Russian bot or anything.
Nope.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it's okay now.
In fact, he gets to tell you who's the enemy of our... He's the enemy. He spied on our own goddamn government that was investigating him. And again, if you're... No one ever has to pay a price at the top of government, right? Nobody, none of the war crimers, nobody who got us into the Iraq war, lied us into the Iraq war, into an illegal war, killed hundreds, if not millions, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. This guy spies on our own Senate Intelligence Committee that's investigating him. Nothing happens. He lies about it publicly. Then all they have to do is just apologize. Oh, okay. David Petraeus. He reveals top-level secrets. Nothing happens to him. But if you're a low-level soldier and you take a picture on side of a nuclear submarine, you are going to be in prison. And that's a fact. That happened. You take a selfie on a nuclear submarine, you're going to prison. But if you're the general, you could give classified information to a reporter because you're banging her, which is what Petraeus did. And there you go. You don't even know you're committing treason. These are the people who NBC wants on their news team. Glenn Greenwald says, isn't it a little strange to constantly rail about state TV when it comes to RT and Fox, and then hire CIA directors and generals as your news analysts? Yeah, it's a little strange. Also, remember this? Anyone who likes to rail about state TV should. I don't know what that is. I didn't see that link. He also says just what NBC and MSNBC were lacking, the CIA's view.
So that's what I was thinking. I was thinking they're just being resourceful here. Instead of, getting a press release and then copying and pasting it into a template, well, now they skip that middle step.
Yeah.
They got the guy. He can just write it himself.
What's the point of having Ken Dillian, NBC? Oh, that's the guy we just showed you. What's the point of having him to serve as a vessel for CIA messaging when you just get it directly from the horse's mouth under the guise of news? Because that's what this is. This is CIA talking points, and they're calling it news. Just like when Brian Williams used to bring on defense contractor paid generals advocating for more war because they're being paid to, and he doesn't tell you. So NBC has a track record of doing the government's bidding. They all do. They all do. MSNBC fired Phil Downey because he was against the Iraq war. Anybody who's against the war had to get out of there. And that's why when you watch MSNBC today, and you know they're not doing their job, because anybody who tells the truth and speaks truth to power gets fired from that station. Ashley Banfield, Ed Schultz, Phil Donahue. Anybody who tells the truth gets fired from that network. And the minute Rachel Maddow says something that costs that station a nickel, that costs Comcast a nickel, she will be fired. The minute she says something that costs them a nickel, she will be fired. He also goes, this is from RT. I like this. It says internal Pentagon documents referred to. So they talked about this. They did it in the New York Times did an expose on how the intelligence community infiltrates the news again. And in it, that RT's quoting the reporting, and they say internal Pentagon documents referred to them, meaning people from the CIA who they get on television, as message force multipliers or surrogates who could be counted on to deliver administration themes and messages to millions of Americans in the form of their own opinions.
Propagandists.
Propaganda. Or
PR writers.
That's called a propagandist, right, Ron? Yeah.
Yep.
So if you want propaganda, you should watch NBC News and MSNBC. If you don't want propaganda, you have to go to YouTube. And they are throttling the hell out of our show, by the way. Our show used to regularly get 200, 300,000 views. And CBS News and MSNBC News used to get literally 400 and 500 views on their videos. Because nobody goes to YouTube to watch those goddamn channels. And now we're lucky we break 60, 70,000 views. And Rachel Maddow, MSNBC, and just generic CNN clips are getting million views. No one wants to see Wolf Blitzer. Nobody. Nobody wants to see Chris Cuomo or the people who host the CBS morning show. Nobody's clicking to see them. They're being force-fed those videos. And they're throttling us. I'm not making this up. So, there's a little bit more. This is from RT. The presence of former military and intelligence officials in the newsroom was once thought controversial. You would think, right?
Yeah, that seems like a no-brainer.
Can you imagine when we were reporting on Vietnam, if you just had, your newsroom was populated with generals and CIA people who lied us into it? Isn't that amazing? In 2008, the New York Times wrote an investigative analysis outlining the George W. Bush administration's use of military analysts to shape terrorism coverage. So that should have been first. And then that's what internal Pentagon documents referred to them as message force multipliers. So I had that switch, but there you go. So thank God NBC is giving the CIA heads a job, or else they'd be on the unemployment line, right?
Very progressive of them.
Very progressive of them. What a shit show. I wish somebody would invent another YouTube, but it's not happening. It's not going to happen. People keep saying, go into this platform, go to that platform. We're going to have to eventually. We rely on right now, we don't rely on YouTube's advertising because we can't. Because at one point, their advertising was $0 for shows like us. And they've admitted that they're throttling, they're doing things to stuff like this. And now they're going to be doing it under the guise of fighting Russians. So they're throttling independent news shows. They're unsubscribing people. And this is what they want you to watch. They want you to watch John Brennan on NBC. I'm not making that up. That's happening. You can disagree on why it's happening. It's happening. And, you could call anybody you want a conspiracy theorist. It's not a conspiracy that it's happening.
Oh, we get emails and there are screenshots with those emails. So, I mean, unless a large group of people all over the world are playing a really good prank on us, it's happening.
So this is just, I happen to be on my phone on my YouTube channel today, and I noticed underneath one of my videos, the recommended videos, right? So here's videos from the last couple weeks. Pope shames of sex abuses in Chile, 45,000 views. Daily Beast makes strong push for WWE 3, 64,000 views. A lot of people say, well, that seems pretty good. Those are big clickable stories, right? Those are I expected to generate a lot more traffic than they did. Because look what we used to get. This is a year ago, right? Rachel Maddow has lost her mind and people are noticing 351,000 views. That's just a regular. Why Brexit is good for working people is clear, in clear, simple terms. 368,000 views. Why would that be clickbaity? That's just a story. That's what we used to normally generate because our show is fucking popular and people like this show. And people are getting news here that they can't get other places. Like we just showed you what NBC is going to be feeding you for the next year. And look at this at the bottom. Julian Assange explains why the Democrats are doomed. 200,000 views. That's just a regular, normal video. That's nothing special about that video. I mean, I don't know, what, 300,000? They're throttling us, 200,000? I mean, it's crazy what's happening. Here's what Secular Talk says. Secular Talk says they demonetize us. They use the algorithm to deprioritize us, our content, even though it's colossally popular. Now, this is a blatant attempt to crack down further on independent outlets under the guise of policing foreign spies and fake news. And what did he link to? This story, which we're going to do a video on ourselves. Top intel dem warns foreign spies could be manipulating YouTube. Wow. So I don't know how much more they can throttle our shows. But they are. So, and how do they do stuff like that? Well, so when your video of this ends, the next video up will probably be an MSNBC video or a CBS News video or a CNN video. And then our videos will never get pushed like that. And only people who already know about our show will be able to see our videos or be pushed our videos. People who are already subscribed, they push those other videos. So it's happening. So, and that's, I mean, right now, independent news is more important than ever, especially, and it's patting myself on the back, but especially shows like this, especially shows like Kyle's, because Kyle has got the Russia narrative correct. Secular Talk has that issue correct. Well, I can't think of another lefty show that has it correct besides Kyle and this show. Can you think of another lefty show that has? Louis Camp, of course.
Yeah, that would have been...
Tim, I don't know. I haven't watched Tim Black, but I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to say, Jimmy, the one bright side of all this is if somebody clicks on a Rachel Maddow is losing her mind and people are noticing video, the next video that comes up will likely be an example of what we're talking about. Got to see the positive.
Yeah, got to see the Oh, the Humanist Report, I'm pretty sure, also is getting the Russia story, right?
Yes.
I don't have time to watch a lot of videos, so I love those guys. I love all those shows, and I watch them as much as I can, but you know me. So we rely on you to make this happen, and they're making it harder than ever. And this kind of a story should highlight, if it doesn't have your hair on fire, it should. And that's why I just want to say thanks for supporting you, because we rely on you. Right now, we can't rely on other things. We rely on you to support this show. Thanks for being a patron. We give you tons of extra content. We also have live shows. We're doing one February 24th in San Diego. We're doing March 25th in Austin. And we're doing February 16th here in Burbank, California, plus more stuff. There's all the links. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com. Become a patron or a premium member. You buy a T-shirt, Neoliberalism Sucks. That's our new T-shirt, Neoliberalism Sucks. I'm not wearing it. Thanks for your support. And make sure you're subscribed. They are unsubscribing people